You know, every once in a while, I'll find a film that, I have some curiosity about, some interest towards, or maybe someone I know has some fondness towards it, and they'll be like, you gotta watch this, gotta check it out, whatever. Sometimes, all I hear is bad things. Complete opposite. Nobody says you should buy this. Everyone says avoid it like the plague. So today we're talking about Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. This is a film starring Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees. This is a hell of a picture. Debatably, one of the worst musicals ever made. And that's saying a lot, because there are some really shitty musicals out there. There are some excellent musicals. I spent a whole month this year watching musicals, because I felt like it. Turns out when you have so many on Blu-ray, you kind of, force yourself to do it. Some people do. I don't know. To each their own. I did the same thing with Giallos last year. So I found this. This is the Shout Factory Blu-ray that I found in Japan about a month ago, back in October. It was 4,100 yen, so about $40, which is, fine. To some regard, it's not the best price. I mean, for what it is, quality-wise, questionable. But at the same time, I was in a store that had imported a bunch of Blu-rays and DVDs, a place called Movie Market in Shinjuku. And if you're ever in Tokyo, I recommend going there. It's basically the best place to get imports from, America, Shout Factory, Scream Factory, Criterion, whatnot. But you can get imprint releases, Kino Lorber, Umbrella, a bunch of stuff from the UK and Australia as well. Not bad, and the guy who runs the place, clearly a big movie buff, whatever. Just a good place all around if you want to get some obscurities and whatever. I found the Texas Chainsaw The Next Generation, which I know, not considered a good film as well, but I was able to find the Shout Factory version, which had the alternate director's cut on standard definition, which I've heard is a lot better, even though I haven't watched either version yet. So, I just want to have my cake and eat it too. But I found this, and I bought it per my dad's suggestion, because he's a big Beatles fan. He would know this film. Turns out he had heard of it because he knows the music, because he had the cassette when he was growing up, because he was growing up in the 70s when this film was released, 1978. He would have been around 14, 15 by the time this film came out. And so I messaged him about it, and he told me to buy it, whatever. I posted about it on, I think, Instagram, the same day or whatever, posting oh, I got this whole whatever, and one of my followers said, why the fuck did you buy that movie? It's awful. And the thing is, I didn't look it up. I didn't Google to see what the results were like, to look on Letterboxd or whatever. So I bought it anyway, per, I guess, my dad wanting it. And in all fairness, in terms of it as a product from Shout Factory, it's your standard thin case, Region A lock. The artwork is fine. You get a piece of artwork of the film on the inside, artwork on the disc. It is, in all regards, a perfectly fine release. It's pretty bare bones in terms of special features. You have an audio commentary with pop culture historian Russell DeBall. You get some galleries, which is just images from the films, behind the scenes stuff, whatever, and the original theatrical trailer. The film itself is presented in 1080p high definition widescreen 235:1 with English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 and stereo with English subtitles. I will note it does immediately play it with a stereo track, which I changed it to the 5.1, which I think, at least in my setup, sounded a lot better. When Dad was listening to it, his TV is in the next room. He has a sound bar. It kind of worked a bit better with the sound bar for the stereo, because it was mostly on the sound bar stuff. His surround sound is not fantastic, but I still changed it to the 5.1 for him because I felt like it. But it just sounded stronger as a 2.0. From a soundbar. But as a 5.1, because this is the real thing. We're doing a Blu-ray review here as well as talking about this film. The Blu-ray, the transfer, looked good. I had no issues with the transfer. This wasn't a weak effort by Shout Factory at all. It had a pretty consistent bit rate. Everything looked fine. For a 70s film, it didn't look shitty at all. And I love 70s films. And again, the 5.1 sounded great. You got some great audience stuff within it, especially because the film is the kind of musical where every single minute of the film is spent with music playing. It is a hell of a picture, not in a good way. But at least in terms of if you want this as a Blu-ray product, I would recommend it. I haven't listened to the commentary, but I mean, if you really want a breakdown, at least you get that historical context. Curious nonetheless that there's no video essays, no interviews, nothing, as if they knew that this wouldn't sell based on the idea of what it was, so instead they just gave it a commentary track, which is more than I can say for a film like Tommy, which is a much better rock opera, which from the same brand has gotten a Blu-ray release, and now has a UHD, and the UHD is still bare bones with special features. It's just got like 3 audio mixes, including the original 5.0, which is interesting. I'm keen for that to come in the mail. And that is a film where, again, it's constant music the whole time, but it's because Tommy, as a product, as a piece of art, was made as a concept album. That was, hey, all of these songs would have a narrative to it just by it existing in its sheer nature. There's a lot of bands who did that during that period of time. Even Queen, to some degree, had their first couple of albums was like, it kind of spanned a narrative within the album. Did that make the album good? Not particularly. They stretched out and did other things, and honestly, they did better for it in their later years. When it comes to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, though, it completely contrasts to Tommy, where it doesn't have your eccentrically special director. In this case, you have Michael Schultz. What the fuck is he directed? I don't know. I'll take a look. Probably worth me noting, at least, the capacity that this director actually had. Michael Schultz. Alright, so he has done nothing that I know of, that's for sure. The first top 8 things that pop up in Letterboxd is The Last Dragon, Cooley High, Car Wash with what looks like Richard... oh, no, he's well favored. Oh my god, what the fuck? You know, I have no idea, because whoever's on the front artwork is not credited very top billed. So, or maybe they are. I don't know. You get Sgt. Pepper's, you get... Was that Crush Groove? It is Crush Groove. A lot of almost blaxploitation kind of musicals. Carbon Copy, Scavenger Hunt. I've never heard of any of these films. Bustin' Loose, Greased Lightning from 1977. That's sure. All right, Richard Pryor is who I was thinking of. Yeah, he did some movies. Oh, he did the Young Indiana Jones: My First Adventure. I've seen that. Huh. Well, how about that? I've seen something else that he has directed. He did a bunch of Richard Pryor films. That's something else. Richard Pryor, Which Way Is Up from 1977. I'll have to look that one up because I'm big on 1977 films. He did a bunch of Young Indiana Jones. So this is directed by Schultz. It is written by Henry Edwards, who has only apparently written, according to Letterboxd, The Great Skycopter Rescue from 1980, which was after this. Okay, questionably, of course, how much did he write for this movie? Because if you haven't seen this film, and I don't recommend it even if you are a Beatles fan, and my dad, Beatles fan, it's his jam, like it's the reason why I got the film, is because he loves the Beatles. And I've grown up with the Beatles. They've been there my whole entire life because obviously they've been around since before I existed. And I've had a love-hate relationship with them. You like them as a kid because Maxwell Silverhammer, then you hate them as a kid because Maxwell Silverhammer, and then you love them again because Maxwell Silverhammer. Honestly, that whole song is the dichotomy of their whole entire career for me. And the good thing is, that song is featured in this movie. So let me give you a breakdown. Aside from a pretty solid introduction in the film, giving you who Sgt. Pepper was during like the late 1800s to 1900s, whatever, during a couple of wars and whatever, and Sgt. Pepper was there with his band, giving everyone, happiness and whatever during these really rough years, Great Depression, all that kind of stuff. Then, he dies. He's in the middle of a performance, even though actually he kind of just starts a performance, which is like, hey, this is going to be my last show, and then he dies. Just done. Midway throughout a solo. Really funny stuff. His grandkids, because fuck his kids, his grandkids become, Sgt. Pepper, Peter Frampton's character. Does he even have a name in this? I don't know. Oh, Billy Shears. Of course. Billy Shears and his best friends, the Hendersons, aka the three Bee Gees, not the fourth one. They're from Heartland. And so Billy Shears, despite the fact that, oh my god, there's so much established in this film. He has a brother, and the brother just doesn't exist for the rest of the movie. Like, you can see that there's meant to be a conflict. Oh, Billy Shears gets the trumpet. He's going to become the next, Sgt. Peppers and whatever. He's going to become the musician of the family. And then he's going to have a conflict with his brother. His brother never comes back. He's never mentioned again. Don't know what the point of that was. Is he Mean Mr. Mustard? No, you'd think he was. Yeah, there's a villain in this film called Mean Mr. Mustard. Not the actual villain of the film, because he just is a stooge for another villain. There are so many villains in this film. Oh my god. So yeah, they... when Billy Shears is in his 20s, whatever, him and the band decide, hey, we're going to take up the mantle of Sgt. Pepper's. Time has called for this because it's the 70s and I guess we're depressed. Maybe. Who knows? And they perform a song or whatever, and they get word from a big record studio, hey, we've heard your stuff, we want to make you famous. And you're like thinking, okay, this is a earnest band who come from a small town, who have passionate, beautiful music, whatever, not performed beautifully. Again, Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees, but it's the Beatles music, whatever. A band who does not exist in this universe. Neither does the Bee Gees. It's just them. They're not playing themselves, but they're not even playing characters. They get word from this, record label. We want to bring you to Hollywood. We want to make you famous. A record label that is run, of course, by the ever-esteemed Donald Pleasence, who does sing in this movie at least once, and it is hilarious. He only has like a couple of lines, and it's during the I Want You, She's So Heavy number, my favorite number of the picture, which is saying a lot, because there's a Steve Martin number, which is Maxwell Silver Hammer, which is probably the best one. I don't know, Aerosmith does do a number as well, which has Come Together, which is also pretty good. But again, out of the context of the film, they're fun. Actually, maybe the Aerosmith one is better out of the context of the film. Like, that's maybe the only one that actually works as a song outside of the film. Earth, Wind and Fire here as well. There's a couple of bands that just show up. George Burns as well. They decide, we're going to go to Hollywood. We're going to be famous. And then Mr. Mustard comes into town. He's like, I'm going to make this town bad... ? He's a property guy. He's a real estate dude. Apparently he sells off most of the town and makes it stingy and shitty, which I'm like, okay, sure. Now, this is the kind of film where it'll present a bunch of ideas. The brother, conflict, me, Mr. Mustard, evil property guy. You got the record label done by Donald Pleasence. You know that they're the evil, corrupt people, whatever. He's trying to get them all drunk and whatever so they can sign away their souls. Does any of this work in the narrative? Is it relevant? No. The I Want You, She's So Heavy number featured in the Abbey Road album from the Beatles, because this covers not just Sgt. Pepper's, but it has parts of Abbey Road, and it has occasional snippets from other earlier albums. There's no real continuity to it. They just chuck in songs that can kind of fit a narrative. It's the kind of film where that whole set piece, which is like an 8-minute long number, whatever, which again... played by the Bee Gees, which I would love to show clips from it, but I don't think the copyright would hold, because it's all music, which really disappoints me, because I would love to break this down into such a great degree, but unfortunately, because the film is just all music, and it's Beatles music, I don't think I would be able to even constructively give you a video essay to actually demonize this movie in the best way, constructively, as I could.
I want you so bad. It's driving me mad. It's driving me mad.
That whole number is, again, them arriving in LA, the record label wanting to sign them, and then selling them on, hey, we're going to give you booze, we're going to give you women, all that kind of stuff. And you're going to think, oh, okay, this earnest band who has beautiful music are going to become rich and famous, but they're going to sell their souls, and then they got to find themselves again and realize that the only way to be good and earnest musicians is to go back to their hometown and to, just play there. That's kind of what happens, but also not at all, because the record label getting their music doesn't do anything. They get a couple of ads, and some people listen to their music, but none of it makes an impact in the movie. They eventually find out because the girlfriend of Peter Frampton's character goes to them, despite the fact that she could have been with them the whole time. I don't know why she isn't. They don't even stipulate. They just say, she's sad because she can't be with them. I'm like, why not? She's an adult. Let her fucking go. She doesn't have a job. Nobody here has a job. She can just leave. So she eventually runs away from town. They do that whole number like in the Sgt. Pepper's album where, she's leaving town, bye-bye, whatever. And she's leaving town because the town becomes a shithole because Mr. Mustard has taken over and whatever. And Mr. Mustard chases her because he wants her. Apparently. That has nothing to do with the I Want You, She's So Heavy number, ironically. The I Want You number is just all of these different people saying I want you either to the band or the band saying it to other people because they either want to fuck these women because my god is this band horny, or the people want to suck the souls out of the band because money. That's it. And it goes for a long time. And it's sung by the Bee Gees, so the harmonies are off. It sounds awful. You contrast it to the Beatles version. You contrast any of these songs to the Beatles versions, and like, there's just no grit. It just sounds like a 70s album. It doesn't sound like it should, So anyway, she's able to get to the Bee Gees, the Sgt. Pepper's, in their recording studio. Just able to walk in there. No security, nothing. Is able to tell them, hey, Mr. Mustard has taken over the town, we need to stop him. So they go back to the town in Mr. Mustard's vehicle, because he followed her, got into the building, but they got into his van because it was just there, and they just drove it back. But on the way back, they find out that Mr. Mustard has stolen a bunch of magical instruments that for some reason the Sgt. Pepper's band did not take with them. So apparently that was a thing to do with the original success of the original band. Apparently. So earnestness is now out the window. It's got nothing to do with that. The magic was actually in the instruments. It was never in the people. Which is really funny, because the film kind of alludes to that to begin with, but also really doesn't. It's like, it's passing the mantle by giving, here, take your fucking magical horn, and the Bee Gees, they don't even, I keep calling them the Bee Gees, this new incarnation of the band do not even take the instruments with them when they go off to Hollywood. They just leave them behind. So anyway, Mr. Mustard has taken those instruments and dispersed them elsewhere. So they're like, oh, we need to find them. And of course, Mr. Mustard's whole entire vehicle is also a computer programmed by two robots who just sound like Daft Punk. It's very weird. They look like a really shitty version of Daft Punk. And they're like, oh, this is what you have to do. There's this big corporation who are evil. I can't remember what they're actually called because they're just called the Evil Force. There's no actual... There is a kind of name. I think it's just called EF, Evil Force. Not joking, they use the acronym so often that I forget what they're actually called. And again, there's no dialogue in this film. The only real dialogue comes from occasionally Mr. Mustard or from the robots. The robots are like the only characters who actually talk because everyone else is singing the whole time. And again, they're singing the whole time, which can be annoying because when the characters are actually talking to each other, you can't hear what they're saying because all you're getting is the soundtrack instead, which is very annoying. So anyway, they find out where all the instruments are, go to each place, including one that has Alice Cooper, one that has, again, actually, I don't think I mentioned his name, but Steve Martin, who is Dr. Maxwell. And I love how some of these characters are credited. Sandra Farina as Strawberry Fields, Diana Steinberg as Lucy Land, Steve Martin as Maxwell Edison, even though it says introducing, so I guess that was his first starring role. I know it was right after his big comedy album, that's why they got him on. Special guest appearances by Aerosmith, Alice Cooper, Earth, Wind and Fire, Billy Preston, and George Burns as Mr. Kite. Oh, so George Burns, for the benefit of Mr. Kite. Oh, okay. I think he's the guy who narrates the film. Anyway, yeah, they have to go to all these three people. Well, they go to Alice Cooper, they go to Steve Martin. They get the instruments back during a musical number. It's not really that fantastic or whatever, but they are the best segments of it. They go back to town because they're like, hey, we're going to do a show in the town to bring everyone back to get rid of Mr. Mustard's evil hold, even though he's still not there yet. I don't know how he gets like a hot air balloon or something to chase them. I don't know, it's fucking stupid. They get back to town to hold a benefit. The benefit for Mr. Kite. They do a circus act, then Earth, Wind and Fire play one song, then the Sergeant Peppers have to chase the Me Mr. Mustard vehicle because he comes back to town, takes his vehicle with the girl in tow, kidnaps the girl. They see this, follow him. Earth, Wind & Fire are like, okay, bye, I guess. This is your benefit. You're meant to play a song, and they just fuck off. And they chase them all the way to the evil place, which is where Aerosmith are, which kind of, sure, whatever, who come together, and I guess they fight. The girl dies. The girlfriend just, for some reason, she's been tied up, she just falls off a thingy and just dies. I don't know why, she just does. And they commit to it. She dies. They have a funeral. It's sad. They have a glass casket with a corpse in it. They bury her. And then Peter Frampton's character is so depressed because his girlfriend is dead that he goes to kill himself by jumping off a rooftop in front of his friends. And then you know those things that they put on the top of, like a wind dial thing, they put on top of a building that flies around in the wind? They've got one that's made of gold and it looks like, Sergeant Pepper. He comes to life. It's some black guy. I don't know who the fuck he is. I think he's a famous musician. It doesn't really matter. He comes to life. And then he sings a song about things being good again, because despite the fact that one of the Bee Gees guys has just done a musical number about being sad, they do another musical number, so many fucking musical numbers, bring back Peter Frampton's character from life. Also, actually, reverse it. They reverse him from jumping off the ledge. He brings back the girlfriend. He just brings her back to life, because why not? And then everyone's happy, and they sing another song, which includes a fuck ton of cameos. It's literally remaking the artwork from the Sgt. Pepper's album, but just with a bunch of famous people from that time. Even Tina Turner shows up. They're just all singing one song as if, hey, do you guys want to come in? We're going to sing this one song, and then you can go home. And that's it. The movie ends. So, it's a mess. That's basically the whole narrative, and you can tell there's no real connective tissue. Them being like selling their souls to the corporation doesn't do anything. Mean Mr. Mustard doesn't really do anything. The actual evil corporation who are maybe running this whole thing have nothing to do with the record label. Have for some reason something to do with Mean Mr. Mustard, who's a property guy, whose only real evil intuition is just, I want to kidnap a girl because I like her. Which, sure, is still an evil thing to do, but it's like, what the fuck does that have to do with real estate? It's just a mess narratively. And the thing is, all of these are connectively done with the benefit of all of these songs. They've just taken all of these songs and stitched a narrative out of it. They've Frankenstein monstered this whole entire thing. And it's a mess. And it's almost 2 hours long. And the only real criticism that I would benefit the film with is that it should have been an hour longer. And that sounds fucked up, because this is already a mess to watch, with some fun musical numbers and production design. They've got the Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds number, which is pretty good. But again, the musical talent of the four people we have singing these songs does not reflect how well the Beatles did it. Which isn't to say that anyone covering a Beatles song is a mistake. There have been some great covers of Beatles songs, because they've added their own diverse range to it. But this is just not this kind of audio that you want to hear of these songs. Like, it just, especially again, I Want You, She's So Heavy. I highly recommend watching the music clip if I can involve any kind of video, or if I have, hopefully that's being able to do something. But it's such a particular number, and I love that song, and to hear it in that way is bizarre. Even the Maxwell Silver Hammer number is absolutely insane, performed by Steve Martin. But that one's kind of just campy and fun.
Bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came down upon her head.
Again, this film just stitches together all these songs to make a narrative. It doesn't work. You contrast it again to something like Tommy, which again has the narrative baked within the actual music. It's there. Some of those songs you can still completely isolate and they can be their own thing. Again, take the Pinball Wizard, for example. Great number by itself, but also works really well in the context of the actual, both the rock opera and the movie. But this doesn't work. None of it fucking works. And hence why I said, if you added an extra hour that involved actual dialogue, this isn't like just an extra hour after the fact, this is an hour built in, of actual dialogue, of these characters talking. You gave them character. You actually explored them in some kind of meaningful way. This could have worked. Like, they really could have done something with this. I mean, for, what is it, an hour and 12 minutes? It's 112 minutes long. If you maybe added 45 minutes of just dialogue of characters actually talking to each other, it would have given you something. Because the thing is, you don't care about these characters. Even after the pretty interesting montage to begin the movie about Sgt. Pepper, once you follow Billy Shears, there's no real reason to give a shit about him. Like, you're not given any stakes, you're not given any reason to care about him. The first thing he does when he leaves his girlfriend behind is fuck another woman. And then sell his soul to a music corporation. Although nothing comes of it, it doesn't matter, nothing happens, but that's just a thing. I don't care about the characters, and if you give the film the dialogue to actually have these characters talk and you flesh them out, you give them, what's that word? Oh, I feel like I just said it. Character. If you gave them character, you would actually have something to latch onto. Instead, you're just stuck with a very long music video that goes for almost 2 hours and has a bunch of wacky characters with no real purpose. Because every time they have a purpose introduced, they just flower that away. Oh, me, Mr. Mustard, he's an evil property guy. And he just sells a town, but then they just come back with a band to perform and suddenly all the evilness is gone? What? Why? Question mark? I don't know. Oh, the evil corporation who make all the music. They're bad guys. But they aren't. They don't do anything. They just kind of act a bit mischievous and then nothing happens. The actual bad guys who are run by, for some reason, Aerosmith, whatever. I guess because rock is evil? I don't fucking know. The Bee Gees do rock anyway. The Beatles did rock. All of this music is rock. I don't know. Well, it's not all rock, but still. And it's just confusing, because, what do they have to do with the plot? They're the bad guys, but, what are they actually doing? They've got this mantra of how they don't like joy, they don't like love, they only want money. So, again, you have that essence of, oh, the evil corporation just wants money, which is literally the whole reason this movie exists, to sell albums. Surprisingly. And you know what? It worked. The movie didn't do well, but it sold the music. And so it has that essence where you think that every single corporate entity should be the evil thing, the evil property developer who works for the evil music corporation, who you think might actually be the corporation that's trying to buy, the Sgt. Pepper's music. But they're two different entities. A good movie to compare this with, whilst Tommy is a great example in terms of how to do a good rock opera, is Josie and the Pussycats. Josie and the Pussycats. Actually a good Blu-ray release from, I guess, just Universal. Great film. This is the, early 2000s, I think it was? 2001. This is a really fun movie that is basically this movie if it was good. It's just, the music's not as iconic, I would give immediately, because again, this is Beatles music. You will know this music because the Beatles. Basically it. This is the same film. It's basically a bunch of a small town group, except they're very unpopular in this film, get recruited by an evil corporation to become huge mega pop stars, except the evil corporation are putting this underlining sound effect in all of their CDs to control the youth and brainwash them to buy consumerism. It's They Live, but with music. Literally. And so, fuck all these movies about anti-consumerism are the same thing. But still, the same message holds, except this isn't about anti-consumerism. I don't know what the fuck this is about. Music, I guess? So, This is, again, contrast because of the element of the fact that the Josie and the Pussycats are a much smaller band, whatever, music's not as recognizable, and the fact that this is a satire. From the get-go, it's a satire of pop music, of boy bands, of all that kind of stuff, of corporate greed in the music industry. And it's a great fucking movie for exactly that reason. It sure follows the exact same plot beats of the band get famous, they emphasize Josie over the other girls, use brainwashing to separate the whole group, and then try to sell Josie as a solo artist when they haven't even done their first concert yet, all that kind of fun stuff. So this is a great contrast to this film, and I would highly recommend this film. This is an absolute banger. It's also got a great cast. Rosario Dawson, bunch of funny stuff. Parker Posey's in this as well. She's the bad guy. Alan Cumming as well. The contrast is hugely dynamic. I know I've gone from a Blu-ray review to an actual review of the movie, but there are so many things set up in this Sgt. Pepper's movie that are just not explored. They don't talk about it. I mean, they literally don't talk about anything in this movie. It's just like an excuse to do a bunch of music videos. And that's kind of it. I read an interview of one of the guys from the Bee Gees, and he was saying how, like, one of the benefits of this film is that it's going to introduce a whole new audience to Beatles music, and the first time they're going to hear it is from this film. It's from us. You know, we're going to have that cultural landmark, that impact, which I think is really fucking funny. Like, define hubris for me, please. And it's amusing to me to know that it's just doesn't have the impact at all. And it is just that a string of music videos. They even said how they perform songs as like actual performances that the Beatles themselves did not perform, because by that stage in the career for the Beatles, they weren't performing these songs anymore. Outside of the rooftop concert, they didn't do any concerts because they hated doing concerts. They just wanted to make music. And so I think it's really funny that, like, with some of these Beatles songs, the only performances you have as actual live performances is in this movie. Mostly not even done by the Bee Gees again. Earth, Wind and Fire are one of the only bands in this whole entire movie who actually perform in front of an audience. There's like a couple of songs that the Bee Gees perform, again, mostly at Heartland, which is very obviously a backlot studio. It's so obvious when they completely empty it out, and it's just like the one guy talking to the camera, and you're like, oh wow, this is just a backlot. Wow, Heartland kind of has no heart, doesn't it? And that's kind of what I can say about this film, is that despite it being called the Lonely Hearts Club Band, which there's no explanation as to why they're called that, it's just the name, and that's kind of the same as Sgt. Pepper's. I don't even think the guy was a sergeant. If anything, he completely avoided doing any wars because he kept playing his music. If that's not, one of the least honourable things you could do, arguably, when it comes to if you care about military standards, then there you go. But, I think of Jimmy Stewart fighting the Nazis, for example. Anyway, maybe unrelated. So it's one of those films that I highly would not recommend, despite the fact that it is a decent Blu-ray version. Again, it's got a good transfer, it's got good audio options, and it has a commentary track. But I would not recommend this film. The Blu-ray is a good release. It's probably the only release it'll ever get. It has a really nice transfer. I would say it looks almost like a 4K scan, because it looks really nice. And it is quite a colourful film. Again, colourful costumings, some great production design, some great set works. Because again, it's a musical, but it's just a bunch of music videos. So if you think of music videos with some of them having really high budgets and some of them having really low budgets, that's what this movie is. The really good budgeted ones have some really great set work, have some really interesting choreography. Even what, again, is probably my favourite one, being the Steve Martin one, is really interesting of a set piece. Is it a great representation of the song of Maxwell Silverhammer? I guess. It's basically that whole sequence that has Bruce Campbell in Escape from LA, where he's just a plastic surgeon, but he's turning people from just regular people into like corporate stooges, but they're not even corporate stooges, they're just here to be a part of this, like, I guess, fascist army that they're creating that, again, hates love and joy but loves money. Yeah, it's a really weird movie. It's so hard to describe sometimes. But yeah, There are definitely better movies out there. There are definitely better musicals, better adaptations, better rock operas. Again, if you want something with this kind of musical language that's just constant music and hardly any dialogue, if none at all, you go with Tommy. And again, that's got a much better director. You got Ken Russell behind it, a great cast, some insanely good numbers to it. I don't know. It's The Who. If you like The Who, there you go. You got Tommy. I think that's an 80s film. I feel like that's also a 70s film. Is it bad that I can't remember? Why do I feel like that's also 1978? Oh my god, it's 1975. Holy shit, that's actually before this. So there you go. 1975, even better. But again, if you want the same kind of narrative that's just done better, you get Josie and the Pussycats. It's simply the better film. And actually, this version is also really good in terms of a Blu-ray with its commentary. You get a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff, some music videos. You get a lot of stuff on this Blu-ray in contrast to this. So, look, it's commendable that Shout Factory actually put this out on Blu-ray. I'm surprised that they were able to when it comes to the music and the rights and licensing and stuff. Is it a very under-the-radar film, a film that I don't think I've ever seen anyone talk about, because I know I've never seen anyone talk about it, given that the only people I know who have seen it is, I think maybe my friend John did, John Harrison. But again, my dad had never seen it, but he'd heard the music, and even when he was watching it, he was actively criticizing how they're doing the music, because again, this is a diehard Beatles fan criticizing other people for not being able to play their music properly, and that's saying a lot, because he still likes the Bee Gees. But he understands the limitations of the Bee Gees in terms of their range, and they don't have what it takes to do the Beatles. So it's just kind of an insane casting choice. And again, there's that one follower who pointed out, why the fuck did you buy that? So yeah, don't buy this film. Unless you're absolute nutso. Maybe if you can get it for cheap, but again, this is the best way to buy it. But I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think I know many people who actually like rock operas or musicals in general. I like both. But there's better versions out there. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.